What's going on, guys? My name's Glenn Twist, and welcome back to my channel. So it has been a while since I've uploaded my last video. Unfortunately, I got caught up in other stuff, some important, some not so important, including playing the entire Leon Kennedy Resident Evil series, including Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil um, 6, and Resident Evil Requiem. I love Requiem. Requiem's a great game, by the way, if you didn't know already. But here we are back in Red Dead Redemption 2. Today I plan to do something pretty simple. I just want to kind of set up a campfire and read Arthur's journal. Just a kind of relaxing video today. Some practice for my storytelling journey, or whatever you want to call it. I want to just read Arthur's journal because I don't really want to do anything else right now. This week I do plan to, among other things, finish this game. That would be nice to just kind of get this game done because it has been quite a while since my first playthrough, or my first part of this series. I have completed the entire story as well as the epilogue. What's left for me to do is I would like to fish all of the legendary fish in the map, and then I would also like to finish off all the legendary animals. I would like to hunt those down, and I would also like to finish off the story missions, the side missions, the side quests. So that's my plan. That's what's in the works for this week. Now I can't promise that I'll deliver on that because I have been caught up in some things. I don't know what the plan is that I will finish the game, but I don't know if that will happen. So yeah, anyways, without further ado, I'm gonna set up a campfire here and pull out Arthur's book. So welcome to Red Dead Redemption Campfire Stories. Okay, how do I pull out the journal? Welcome to Red Dead Redemption Stories. Storytelling. Campfire story. Alright, so we start here. On the left here, you see some of the things that are, some of the finances that we've put, some of the loans that we've been given by the bank. This is John. He's written it down in here in the journal. Over here is Blackwater on the other side, on the other page. So, yeah. Obviously, on the right there, Arthur did draw that map. Let's proceed. This is a drawing of Blackwater from a different angle. And here we are on the first page. I bought this new journal after the last one got destroyed in that fire all those months ago, whenever it was. Haven't written or drawn much the past few months, but I was missing it more than I thought I would. And finally near store, so here I am, I guess. After all that business up north in the fire, we spent a few months in the wilderness traveling down from the northern grizzlies. As a reminder, this is Arthur Morgan telling his journal. He wrote this as we kind of went along. Stuck mostly between western foothills of the mountains during the worst of the winter. Food was easy to find and life was good. Dutch had a lead of some land we were going to buy, but the land did not match up to his criteria, or he got spooked. We were being watched by the law, and that somebody knew who he was, and we never bought it, and we are wandering still. We picked up a couple of new folk in the Grizzlies. Jenny, a sweet young girl we met in an abandoned on a roadside, and Micah, an outlaw Dutch met in a bar someplace. Dutch seems very taken up with Micah, who is pretty hot-headed, argumentative, and full of himself. Hosea and I are less sure. Guess we shall see. Eventually we came out of the wilderness and are now holed up outside of Blackwater, although sometimes I stay in town hunting for opportunities. I might be onto something. We got plenty of money, and the trail we took was so torturous and slow, nobody could have followed us south and east, or figured out where we was heading. We was thinking about California, but Dutch and Hosea brought us down to Blackwater. Blackwater has apparently grown a whole lot since any of them was last here. I was told to expect little more than a trading post. But the place is growing fast, and it's almost a small city. The town seems to be riddled with corruption, but there's certainly plenty of money here. It's good to be sleeping in a bed from time to time, and living a more civilized life after so long under the canvas. But I do not particularly like being this near to a town. We're living here, camping outside of town mostly, hidden in plain sight, I guess. Life seems pretty easy. Abigail and Marston keep fighting. I wonder why exactly that he came back. He cannot seem to decide if he wants to be a father to that boy of his or not. The arguing is exhausting. I heard talk of a man sounded like Trelawney, but we haven't seen him for many months. Hosea and I are onto something. Something pretty big. Might be a lot of cash coming in to do with the real estate scam Hosea thinks he may have discovered. I'm not sure yet the perfect crime we think. One where we rob crooks. We are being real careful. It's fun working with Hosea again. The man is an artist of nonsense. Even if nothing comes of it, we are having an amusing enough time. It's good to be running scams again. Hosea is a born huckster. He is getting anxious, worried that by lingering in town we are going to bring undue attention onto ourselves. But Dutch thinks he is also onto something big. His words, not mine. Bank money being brought in by boat. Apparently, so for now, we are working on both things and seeing what happens. Plan is to flee west into the desert country someplace if we can. Which is where we kind of are right now on the map. Kind of like this west of Blackwater, kind of more desert, way more desert. Micah and Dutch are planning to rob the ferry in town. They think it's laden with riches, cash, and for the banks coming in by boat. For once, I am not getting involved in the job. Hosea and I are too taken up with our business, which I believe could go very well, and Dutch seems confident that with the regroup established, all will be okay. Plan is for them to carry out the job, then flee into the wilderness out to the west. The next day, Hosea and I carry out our scam and join them. Dutch seems happy and excited. He's talking again about California, but he's also talking about a lot of other places. We have been running for weeks. I mean, running more than usual. The job that was pulling in Blackwater, robbing that ferry, it turned into a disaster. Young Jenny got killed, poor thing, while Sean and Mac both got arrested, or killed. Nobody seems sure of which. Dutch shot a girl. I'm not too sure if by accident or by design. It seems like it might have been a setup. We took to the hills in an almighty scramble, leaving the money and most of our things behind. Then, as we were fleeing east over the Grizzlies, an almighty storm hit us. Davy Callender, who had got shot in the gut on the raid, passed away. It was brutal to watch, and the rest of us nearly froze. But we found shelter and have been resting here in some old abandoned mining town while we await the thaw. Camp Coulter, Chapter 1. Hardly the spring I had been hoping for. Hosea and I have been planning a robbery of our own in Blackwater, but I guess that's abandoned along with most of what I owned. I am profoundly concerned as to what happens next, once we leave this place or the law finds us cowering up here. Found a girl, well, a woman, I should say. Her husband had been murdered by some of Colm O'Driscoll's boys. Nasty business. Ridge. Leviticus Cornwall? Seems Colm O'Driscoll had the same idea as us. He's been hiding up here scouting out a train he wanted to rob. We bumped into some of his boys at some farmstead they was robbing. Found that poor woman whose husband they'd had murdered, and she's now riding with us, as she ain't got no place better to be. Then, Dutch being Dutch, and his hatred for Colm being just as powerful as it ever was, whole bunch of us went to pay him a visit as in his camp, but he escaped. We grabbed one of his boys. Poor bastard ain't spoken yet, but he will once we freeze him a little, then set Bill on him. Been a bad few weeks, but we're mostly still alive. Dutch being Dutch is busy making plans and figured out just how we're going to survive. And Dutch being Dutch, those plans involve robbery and dreams. Horseshoe Overlook, Chapter 2. Finally a thaw in this god-awful weather. We got off the mountain and rode east in some pretty enough country called the Heartlands. Ain't been this far east in many a year. Hosea seems to know the country a little. Ain't been much of a spring. Now holed up at a place called Horseshoe Overlook outside of some dumpy little cattle town named Valentine. Dutch seems a little better. His eyes are sparkling once more, and I can see he's thinking a little clearer. I think we all feel a little happier in spite of Blackwater and that whole mess. Met a lady scientist, Deborah something or other. Seemed to be more mad than sane, but I don't have much frame of reference for scientists. Wanted me to see if I could help her find dinosaur bones and send her the details. Maybe. Met some old drunken Valentine, claimed he was a shootist. Seemed more like a clown. Some poor fool was writing a book about him, or trying to. Levin was the name of the writer. Jim Calloway was apparently the killer. Oh, apparently, Levin needs more information. Asked me to find a few folk who have spent more time in publicity than me and knew old Jim back when he was a real killer. Their names are Emmett Granger, Flaco Hernandez, Billy Midnight, and Black Bell. Sound like a couple of clowns. We shall see what kinds of people those who want to be famous murderers are. My hopes are not too high. Got into some god-awful fight in the town saloon. Bill started it. He's wound so tight about something, I reckon he'll start hitting himself soon enough. I was stopped from beating some big yokel to death by a local do-gooder. I could not tell if this made me pleased or real angry. The local crowd seemed to want to see blood, however. Afterwards, Dutch accosted me with old Josiah Trelawney, backing quite as slippery and confusing as ever. He'll come and go again, no doubt, and leave none of us any the wiser as to who or what he is. Trelawney told us that Sean had been killed in Blackwater, but was a prisoner there, held by scalp hunters awaiting payment. Charles Smith, Javier, and I met in Blackwater, and we rescued that loudmouth maniac before we'd even cut him free from the tree he was mouthing off at us. Javier said Blackwater is an impossible situation, and I guess I had better forget about all that money. All them years wasted earning that stuff. Guess I'll never quite know what happened, but the upshot is we're on the run. and known to more folks in authority than we'd like to. Met an idiot hunting for treasure, stole his map. Wonder if I'll find anything. This fella I took to talking with at the train station told me that I could get decent money if I collected complete sets of cigarette cards, and I sent them to him. And send them to him. We shall see. Sounds harmless enough. Took a day off and went hunting with Hosea. He really seems to be getting his strength back a bunch, although he was lucky not to die as this big bear he'd been after turned on us. I thought when he was stuck up in the mountains that the cold and the misery would kill him, and we'd bury him like we did Jenny and Davy. But he pulled through, and he'll live a while yet. I love Dutch like a father, but in many ways, I love Hosea even more. He's kind and fair, and like a human being. Dutch is something else. This bear was also something else, size of a goddamn hotel. It was mean with it. Colm O'Driscoll slipped through our fingers once more, and I saw my own life slip through mine. That gentle buffoon we kidnapped up in the mountains took us to a cabin. We were planning to kill Colm, but he had just gone elsewhere. We shot a bunch of his boys, and one was about to end my life when Kieran shot him. This feud, it's bled out from Dutch and Colm's mutual hatred into a loathing that permeates all of us and all of them. Still, I found quite a shotgun in the cabin. Headed into Valentine with Uncle and the girls. Girls went scouting for work while Uncle and I had a few drinks, and he explained more of his theories on existence and barefaced lies about his past. Things took a strange turn. Some fella seemed to recognize me, or us, from Blackwater. Guess we had been held up there too long while Hosea and I scouted the job that never was. I chased the bastard and nearly fell off a cliff. I spared him and he gave me an ink pen. I hope I won't regret my leniency, but I reckon I got the scare of his life. He got the scare of his life. Jimmy Brooks was his name. Herr Strauss is back, lending money, and I'm back collecting it. The work mostly revolts me and shames me. Somehow robbing people honestly with a gun and fists is less repellent than robbing them fully in accordance with the law. It'll be the usual sort of desperados. Sick farmers, pregnant maids, lovesick young men, and other dupes desperate enough and stupid enough to take Strauss's terms. A usurer's life may be a comfortable one, but it is foul work. Met a strange guy. Thought he was a prophet. Blind. Hosea and I went robbing, just like in the old days. A father and son pair of clowns at some farmhouse. Stole a wagon, sold it to some rat Hosea had met at some odd place called Emerald Ranch. What goes on there I cannot tell, but this little purchaser of stolen goods had us go rob his own family. Even by my standards, that was low, but the father and son we robbed was proof that even God makes mistakes sometimes. Hosea performed brilliantly as some kind of huckster selling restorative care to crooks' backs. Whole thing was utterly ridiculous and brilliant. Valentine. Went off drinking with young Lenny. Thanks to my own peculiar genius for trouble when drunk, the evening did not go quite according to plan. But somehow neither of us got killed or arrested for murder. We got arrested, of course, but not for murder. At least I don't think it was for murder, because they let us out. Whole thing is a bit of a blur. Somehow I don't imagine that the saloon owner in Valentine likes me very much after the mayhem I've caused there. Met a man, Francis Sinclair, wants me to find some old rock carvings and send him the details. Not sure why. I probably won't bother. Francis had bright red hair and birthmark and spoke in an odd way. Found a massive skeleton. Wonder how big the man was, or if he was a man at all. Met a nice fella taking photos of animals. Albert Mason, I think he was called. Kind of an interesting and entirely lost and unused to Rio country, even though he seemed to love it. Trying to take pictures of all our biggest predators before they all got killed off themselves by the modern world. Should have got him to take a picture of Dutch. He got robbed by a coyote, but I got him his bait back. Met Emmett Granger. I cannot think of a single man I have enjoyed seeing dead more than this bastard. Pig shit and hatred, and he still threw a knife at me. Strauss. I went to call in alone. Some farmer, local do-gooder. Think I'd seen him in Valentine before when I was fighting the big fella. He begged and coughed and spluttered, and I beat him half to death. Such is life. Such is the world. His boy looked at me and like I was the devil, and perhaps for him I was. The whole thing confused me. Maybe that's wrong. The whole thing revolted me, my part. These sad, desperate bastards, their silly expectations of life, and their cowardly reality. The unkindness of existence, I can handle that just fine, but I do not love it. Nor those who try to make things otherwise, I guess. Saw Mary again. I feel like the luckiest man alive, and I feel like a fool. That woman confuses me and plays me for a fiddle like no one else alive. Her little brother Jamie had joined some religious order and needed saving, or so she and that god-awful daddy seemed to have thought. I took him home after a pathetic little squabble. Poor boy. Wonder what will become of him. Education and an unpleasant father have been terrible curse for him, I fear. As for Mary, I trust I will not make a god-awful fool of myself once more, but somehow I imagine I shall. Found Flaco Hernandez for that silly book. Killed him. Bastard jumped out of the way, but I still got him. Didn't seem like the type I was going to befriend anyway. Got into a fight with a drunk giant with a tiny head. Yeah, that's what happened. Fella was strangling a barkeep who had turned off his liquor supply. Part of some kind of circus act. The show was run by a woman, Marjorie, I think. She's missing a tiny magician. I suppose we all are. He's run away into the woods. Said if I saw him, I'd send him back to them. And I think I knew a few folks, and I thought I knew folks with strange hobbies. Here's that serpent-shaped mound. Rescued a woman from a pair of terrifying freaks. They'd killed her husband. I gave her a lift home. Found the little magician and reunited this odd family. Philip tried to give me the slip a few times, but in the end, seemed they love each other even more than they hate each other. Or at least it was close. Want me to see their show sometime at Saint Denis and say they'll reward me then as they were broke now. Thought this old trading post in Roanoke Ridge was kind of interesting. Found a rock that had fallen from the heavens. Wonder who lived here. Took young Jack out fishing as a favor to Abigail many years ago before she fell so hard for that fool Marston. Perhaps I should have married her. I think part of me has always thought that, yet God damn you, Mary. Jack is a good boy, a dreamer, a boy with a mama who loves him. I wonder if he will find what we seek, peace and truth away from all this nonsense and lies, if that is what we still seek. Not that that's a new development. Not sure I know myself anymore. Sometimes I'm not sure Dutch does. As we fished, a couple of Pinkerton agents appeared. Milton was one of them. I forgot the other fellow's name. They knew all about me. That's a new turn of events. Apparently, there's 5,000 on my head alone. After Blackwater, or maybe before, it seems we may be in real trouble. I just don't know. We know the other one's name is Ross, by the way. Now, Dutch don't seem too worried, but I am begging to have some doubts. I am beginning to have some doubts as to this wisdom in his indifference. Saw Mr. Mason again. This time he was taking pictures of wolves, still doing his hardest to get himself eaten. Sent him the location of those odd carvings. Now he wants to see me again. Or now he wants me to go see him. More problems had befallen us, more running. Leviticus Cornwall, the oil, sugar, rail, and greed merchant, whom we robbed a while back, had us ambushed in Valentine. Seems he has added to the price on our heads. We shot our way out of town and narrowly escaped with our lives. The only amusing aspect of the horror was Herr Strauss getting grazed and acting like he was preparing for his short trip down to hell. After this, we fled the country and headed even further south and east, camping by a lake. This is pretty much new country for me. Charles and I saved a family of Germans who were in the process of getting themselves killed. He's a better man than me. He does not need to think to be good. It comes naturally to him. Like, right is deep within as opposed to this conflict between good and evil that rages within me. If only we had fled west out of Blackwater, we could be free now. Out where we belong, beyond civilization, with the savages and the animals. Here we won't ever be at home. Chapter 3, Roads. So, turns out we're holed up outside a town called Rhodes, deep in old cotton country. The place has not recovered from this war, and those folks that is sober enough to think we are still angry. The drunk, which is most of them, are angrier still, but perhaps for other reasons. Adding to the absurdity, we appear to be planning to deputize ourselves into the local law enforcement, and to have already taken down a major bounty on their behalf, but mostly to rescue slippery old Trelawney, who had got himself arrested for some of his unusual nonsense, or his usual nonsense. Seems like there is a long-running blood feud between two old families here, and both Dutch and Hosea believe they may be sitting on a lot of gold. We shall see, I guess. Mrs. Adler, the widow we rescued a while back, might be the craziest one of us all. She fights like a cornered polecat with a rage and a blood lust that frightens the hell out of me. I ever get on her wrong side, and I am a dead man. I don't intend to. She's a fine woman, amusing and good-hearted and decent and angry. I took her shopping and to stop her filleting old Pearson right in camp. After we got jumped, she went insane and showed she can kill with the best of us. Met a fella called Miss Margaret, an animal trainer and showman or showwoman, mistress of danger, quite a charmer. Wants me to find some missing animals. Guess Billy Midnight never escaped his past. Guy was deranged about shooting some fella in in the back, or in their sleep, or something else very sensible, in my opinion. Anyway, guilt has consumed him. So like a real proper gentleman, he tried to kill me. Show was interesting to say the least, and also dreadful, but I got paid. A while ago I met an odd man dressed as a lady animal trainer. Are all English men that weird, I wonder? All these animals were as fake as the rest of his act, until I was to find and retrieve a real lion from somewhere or other in Africa. I thought it was going to be another dog, but no, it was a real lion. Thing looked like it wanted me for its next meal. After hunting a zebra that was a donkey and a tiger that was a cougar and another lion that was just a dog, or I think that's right. I think I've lost track of the whole thing, and as an assistant, that's a real woman, and him, a strange English maniac in a dress pretending to be all that he isn't. Remind me yourself never to go on stage. The weird English guy gave me a pretty decent emerald as payment for my troubles. Maybe he wasn't so bad after all. That emerald was as real as the zebra and worth a whole lot less. Seems Miss Marjorie made idiots of all of us. What did I expect? A man who dealt in fake tigers gave out real gems? Deputy Sheriff. Finally, we have achieved a state of true insanity. For the first time in my life, I'm deputized lawman. We went off with some moronic dupe deputy working for the alcohol-drenched Sheriff Gray, pursuing some moonshiners. Dutch is convinced this will somehow lead to riches beyond compare. Seems the one powerful local family, the Grays, ex-Scots, is warring with another proud English family, the Braithwaites, like some long-running dispute from the border country. Apparently, there's gold or women or something at the root of this, and if it's gold, we want it. Either way, we are so deep in the swamp and so entirely lost ourselves, I hope it will take the Pinkertons and their like a long while to find us. We shall see. In the meantime, a new career path in law seems to await. Seems like amongst our other perils, a gang called the Lemoyne Raiders won't take too kindly to outsiders, or anyone who ain't living in the distant past. Went to Scarlet Meadows, site of a famous battle in the war. All them young lives lost. Saw an old church, found it interesting. Not sure why. Found a crazy young woman, real strange looking, locked in a kind of outhouse hidden on Braithwaite Manor. World ain't a kind place for folk like her. Moonshine. I've met some charming women in my time. Catherine Braithwaite, the mother hen to that particular bunch of roosters, ain't one of 'em. The sour old jug of piss and bullshit I ain't never met. Even Hosea's charms were lost upon her. She refused our offer of selling her back her moonshine, and instead got us to give it away to annoy the saloon owners in the town. Hosea put on quite a show until we got interrupted by the bastards we robbed when grabbing the stuff. We just about escaped. On the other hand, I met this poor bastard gray boy, Bo, and his forbidden love, Miss Penelope. Quite the most alive creatures we have met down here. Suddenly, on marching as a suffragette, the looks of loathing on the faces of the locals delighted me, while their leader, a Mrs. Calhoun, amused me. I don't know much about good causes nor the joys of democracy, but I enjoyed my little experience riding alongside them. World is certainly changing fast. We went horse thieving, our greed getting the better of us. Believed a yarn spun us by one of that Gray family, the patriarch Tavish, a particularly unpleasant one of what seems a responsibly unpleasant family. He had us believing that the Braithwaite woman owned some highly prized English thoroughbreds, or Arab charges, or whatever they was supposed to be, and imagined we was going to be wonderfully rich. At the end of it, we felt like prize idiots. So I guess at least some prizes was being handed out. Charles and I went looking for Trelawney, who was staying in Rhodes. He'd been accosted by some bounty hunters who were looking for him and a means to getting to us. Whole thing turned nasty and he'd been treated pretty bad, but we got him out of there. Seemed worried that there might be more following in their wake, so came back to camp with us. There always seems to be more. Bounty hunters, Pinkerton, lawmen. Everywhere we go, there's more and more civilization. Perhaps this is it from now on. We shall see, I guess. This whole place is beginning to give me the creeps. I want to get back in the open country of the West, or what's left of it. But even that ain't the way I remember it. Helped Mr. Mason take another picture, this time of wild horses, and he gave me a beautiful print of the wolves that nearly ate him. Sometimes something real odd happened to me. Went to see Francis Sinclair, only he wasn't there, but a lady was, nursing a baby called Francis, with the same mark on his face, and yet she'd never heard of an adult with that name, and was acting real odd. She must have been treating me for a fool, which perhaps I was for getting involved in this nonsense. Someone had made the carvings into an odd symbol. I don't know what to make of this at all. I had been recuperating after an interesting encounter with Colm O'Driscoll. Dutch got it into his mind to meet the bastard to somehow end all this lunacy. Only Colm did not share Dutch's sense of humor amongst thieves. Honor amongst thieves. Whole thing was a setup to kidnap me, then lure all the rest of us into a trap so we could get arrested and Colm could disappear away, us somehow carrying off his sin, along with our own to the gallows. Seems like Colm is enjoying this modern world even less than we are. More by luck than judgment, I escaped and somehow got back here more dead than alive, and collapsed into bed for a few feverish days. After much nursing from Miss Grimshaw and Miss Tilly, and much guilt-ridden apologies from Dutch over his stupidity, I survived okay. My shoulder where I was shot ain't calmed down with the gangrene, and I will live, if even uglier than before. Things is getting even more insane with the local population. My sense is neither the Greys nor the Braithwaites have a pot to piss in, and I ain't spent too much time with the landed gentry. Whatever else they don't make one believe in the nobility of aristocracy. Sean has been killed. I'm more sad than I could admit. I loved that little loud-mouthed wretch more than I knew. He was like an annoying little brother to me. What fun we had riding together. And now he's dead. His head shot off in an ambush. What a goddamn mess we're making of things. Still no Confederate gold, but a shitload of trouble. Chapter 4. Shady Belle. We've moved again. More trouble with the Pinkertons, more trouble with them locals, more trouble all around. Little Jack's been kidnapped, so we're trying to find him. Apparently some fella in St. Denis Senior or something or other took umbrage to our presence and kidnapped him, or heaven forbid worse. We burnt down Braithwaite Manor when we went hunting for him, in an almighty scrap. Then we got spoken again by Agent Milton. This time he asked us for Dutch's head on a platter. We got him to leave, but they ain't too pleased with us. So we headed into St. Denis to find little Jack. We was told he'd been kidnapped by some local gangster. This Italian feller called Bronte, a local tough guy. We ain't found him, but he's found us. Dutch and I headed into town, and I managed to get myself robbed by a bunch of children. This was a new low, even by my standards. Anyway, we found Mr. Bronte, and are going to pay him a call. We better get the boy back soon, not least because if we don't, Abigail will kill the lot of us. All this after we burnt down the Braithwaite Manor house looking for him and made some real enemies of ourselves back in that country. We're now hiding deep in the swamps, trying not to get eaten by wildlife or sunk too deep in the mud. Cannot decide which I like less, the swamps or the city. Both are full of parasites, reptile, and slime. The swamp's prettier. Dutch is trying to think of where we can run next, but in the meantime, we are deep in the swamps, hiding in some disease-ridden old plantation house, mostly swallowed up by nature. Guess we will find Jack, get some money, then flee, but where? These bastards ain't giving up. We're a long way from way east of land we know, and far from real open country. Met a curious Frenchman in a bar, bought him a drink and gave him a picture, and he gave me a picture. Said he was an artist, although I'm not sure I see what is so good about it. Saint Denis. Always heard Saint Denis was one of the 7 wonders of the world. If this is so, I don't care much to see the other 6. It's a depressing place that shows you that only thing worse than people is a whole lot of people. I have never met a lizard in a suit before. Only now I have, and his name is Angelo Bronte. He is either our salvation or our damnation. The city strongman arrived from Italy a few years ago and now knows and controls everything and everyone. He had not harmed Jack, other than feeding him strange food, and Dutch seems to think that maybe we can get something from this oily dictator. Personally, I don't trust him more than I trust any hungry animal not to try and eat me. But for now, we are somewhat safe and hidden. Whole place gives me the creeps. Mary wrote to me, wants to see me again. Oh, Mary, what fools we are. What fool I am. My lord, I have done everything. I went to a ball like a fool in a fairy tale. The mayor of Saint Denis, Dutch, got us invited by old Signor Bronte, and off we trooped, trussed up like turkeys for Thanksgiving, and waxed and polished and primped to within an inch of our lives. Bronte did not mingle with the other guests, but lorded over the place like a Roman emperor deciding who to have killed for his fun. The place was full of drunks, lunatics, liars, and clowns, but the thing was kind of fun. Managed to not get into too much trouble, and may have some business opportunities on account of enquiries here. We shall see, I guess. Seeing Bill dressed up like an ambassador and awkwardly as a schoolgirl was one of the funniest moments of my life. Met Evelyn Miller, the writer, which was amazing for Dutch. Met the mayor. Dutch and Hosea seem to think this dump is a world of possibilities. They want to look into the bank and some other business opportunities. We shall see. As long as we can keep ahead of the Pinkertons and Cornwall and the rest of them for a while, maybe we shall be okay. Saw Mary and the awful daddy who was taking a drink, which unsurprisingly ain't improved him a whole lot. What a foul pig he is. Taking to hawking off family heirlooms and cursing the world for it. Still a stuck-up son of a bitch. Now Mr. Linton has passed away. I wonder what he wants for his daughter. Funny thing is, I love her, and yet I am a bad lot. Old Daddy is a good, upright man, and yet he treats his daughter like a possession to be mistreated and abused as he sees fit. Strange creatures, men. I don't know. All I know is that I love her, and she both loves and detests me. It never worked before, and it won't ever work now, yet it gnaws at me. The idea of it gnaws at me like a sickness. I've got to give all that nonsense up. I'm an outlaw, a murderer, a man with a code different to ordinary folk, and Mary ain't never going to be for my world. We went to a vaudeville show in town, dancing from France. Quite a business. What is wrong with me? Do I really think I can retire someplace nice and live a normal life with a wife? Am I a big enough dolt to believe that this is possible? Oh, sweetest of Napes, may your blood remain forever on my lips. 6 there will be before the lust has sated. With one long kiss I drew the life, from her, and await the outpost of advancing day. I drink from the maiden, and I live again in the dead. The heart of the ring of blood, feed again the blood of life. The circle has begun. Five bones under the perfect star. Nosferatu with Dominica will become mortal again. You never know who you're going to meet down a dark alley. Went to see that odd fellow Algernon Wasp I met at the party. Not sure how to describe him, but I won't forget him anyway. I could not do him justice. Different kind of fella. But he says he'll pay good money for assorted feathers and eggs and whatnot for his creations for various rich women. Gave me a list of things he wants. very small church for a very small congregation. I went to an art gallery. Seems fine and fancy living. Ain't quite so different from life in the wilderness robbing stagecoaches. Was an exhibition of paintings by the artist I met a couple of times, Charles something or other, French fellow. Seems he'd been doing more than painting his models. Their husbands weren't too keen on the liberties he'd been taking with his subject matter. Whole thing descended into a brawl. Had to help him escape. Met a weird fellow, wants 100 gallons of moonshine. For love? Never heard such nonsense in all my life. And I knew some talkers of nonsense. Guess I'll go ask that clerk Alden, Trelawney's disappointed friend, if maybe he knows a way of finding it, as I think there's money in this. Met a Mark. Helped him free a couple of poor bastards from the island someplace who were kept prisoner. The monk, what was his name? Brother or something or other, was a good fellow. One of those innocent people who make you feel better about human beings and even about yourself a little. Must be odd to see all that goodness in the world. Place always seemed dark and brutal to me. Met that writer Evelyn Miller in the street. He remembered me from the party. Apparently, my petty crime did not go entirely unnoticed. Better keep my head down a little better. He introduced me to a couple of Indians, father and son. Son angry, father with an air of what exactly? Of something both impressive and frightening and kind about him. A great man, defeated by powerful and awful forces? I do not know, but his eyes, his very manner spoke to me. Somehow I've managed to help them. Seems they, like us, have problems with that gilded ape Leviticus Cornwall and his foul empire. We shall see how this pans out. Somehow got myself involved in the charming business of Saint Denis culture. The mayor, who knew we robbed him a while back, invited me over to his mansion again. Strange man, nice and awful, cynical and caring, wants to make his city thrive. Doesn't seem to care how he goes about it. Threatened me in order to make me threaten some art professor on his behalf. Why? So the art professor will verify that a bunch of paintings ain't the forgeries he believes they are, the genuine article he thinks they aren't, in order to fill the people with joy that they are looking at a real work of genius. Not a good copy of a work of genius. Yeah, I was pretty confused by the whole thing, but I did as I was bid to do, and the professor changed his mind once he saw that I would be happy to turn his mind into nothingness. This time Albert Mason seemed obsessed by getting eaten by alligators. Again, he managed to survive much more by luck than by judgment. Black Belle, what a woman. If she was younger and I was in the market for a woman to go killing with, what a pair we could have made. She told me old boy Calloway was a poser and a liar. Big surprise. Met a crazy man in Saint Denis, a professor no less, Marco Dragic. I'm still amazed by what I experienced. He had me control a tiny boat remotely. How? I have no idea. I did not understand any of it. But even though he was annoying and a sharp mouth, he seemed obviously highly intelligent. Was I duped? I have no idea. Wouldn't be the first time I've fallen for the rantings of an intelligent man telling me how to think. Only he didn't tell me how to think. Whole thing was odd. Told me to come see him at his job at Dover Hill. Maybe. Took the shine to the fella in Saint Denis. A professor, no less. Andrew something other. He's built an electric chair as a kind of way of killing folk as need killing. Oh, the irony of it all. Even more ironic, me so tough and him so weak, and I never got paid. If I want to get paid for this nonsense, I gotta find a bounty hunter named Wilson J. McDaniels, so he can be humanely disposed of at enormous cost to everybody as opposed to shot in the head like I would do. Still ain't been paid for this. Saw Albert again, bored of fighting animals. He tried to fight gravity. Again, he somehow survived. I hope he will now retire from a life even more idiotic and dangerous than mine. Found Charles, the artist, dressed as a streetwalker, trying to flee from assorted men he'd offended, fleeing to the South Seas. Wonder if we'll see him there. Again, doing Mayor Lemure's dirty work. I think that's how it's spelled. His first name is Henri. Only he spells it Henry. Guess my French was nearly as bad as my English. Now I was threatened into threatening a newspaper man into donating to the noble cause of truth and learning. I had to make this guy support a library. He didn't want to. Then he did. Went back to see Calloway and Levin. Calloway, still a drunken clown, had me kidnap some old adversary, Slim Grant. They ended up shooting each other, and then Calloway turned on me. Less said, the better. But Levin has himself a book, and I will slide back into obscurity. Gunslinging ain't the life for me. I prefer good, honest killing, with none of the pretensions. Went to see the professor at his at his lab. He had built a sort of mechanical sun. He seemed to think it was amazing, but we could not get the thing to work properly. I was not half as impressed with him as he was with himself. Algernon is quite a character. Here's a sketch of him. Frank McDaniels took McDaniels in and watched him fry. Weren't very nice. Weren't very humane. The professor got upset and got involved before possibly killing him with electricity, and I never got paid. If they catch me, I pray they hang me. That chair is the work of the devil. Old blackmailing Lemure had himself been killed by his own assistant. A chap I never liked too much named... has himself been threatened by his own assistant. A chap I never liked too much named John Mark, I think. So I go hunting for John Mark. Only John Mark is a noble believer in truth and honesty and cannot stand his boss's lies. I'm charged with killing him. I cannot do it. John Mark is irritating, but the mayor is worse. The mayor is all that is bad in those who rule over us, and it ain't my business at all. So I let them live and let them deal with it themselves. I guess I'm through with politics. Kieran, that poor kid we spared from O'Driscoll's gang up in the mountains, is dead. Killed by the bastards. He saved my life, and I could not save his. They chopped his head off and tried to kill the lot of us. Mrs. Adler fought braver than any of us. She is driven by powerful forces I scarcely understand. That's what love has done to her, I guess. I feel like an animal living out in the mud here. Whole place gives me the creeps. Seems those of us who thought Angelo Bronte was a lizard in a suit was right, and them as thought he was a gentleman thief eager to help us on our merry way was wrong. Bastard sent us into a trap in town, told us to rob the trolley station. No money, but the entire police force was waiting for us. Dutch nearly died. Jenny fought real hard. The kid is good in a fight. Not Jenny, Lenny, I'm sorry, and saved us. Dutch is planning some big escape for us all. Some grand master plan. Everything we are attempting here seems troubled. I hope we can get out of here alive. Right now, it doesn't seem likely. Dutch is raging about Bronte's deception or betrayal or whatever quite it was. Dutch don't like being made a fool of. Even Micah, with all his teasing and needling, plays it real cool with Dutch. I would not want to be a Bronte right now. Went to teach Angelo Bronte a lesson. Taught him something, I guess. Taught him alligators have a nasty way about them. Dutch is torn between his dreams of escape and his need to prove something or other. I don't quite know what. Not sure he does. Wants us to make one last big haul of cash, then flee for Tahiti. Retire and become farmers. Where the hell is Tahiti? I guess they don't have Pinkertons there at least. All them years we dreamed of being ranchers out in virgin lands of the West. Now it's bananas and coconuts. And long boat rides. Guess anywhere the train can get to. The law can get to. Dutch probably has it right. The country really don't want folk like us no more. From ocean to ocean, place is going to law-abiding and decent and dulled and rigid until folks have frozen themselves into nothingness. The people in this city are worse and more desperate than the nastiest gunslinger I have ever met. They'd shoot you in the back and make you pay for your own funeral. They throw shit on you for sport. They walk past the lost and starving like they can't see them. Keep feeling sick, and I'm not sure it's nothing. This damn swamp, ain't natural. It ain't John Mark, it's Jean Mark, you fool. And he's now the mayor. I guess that's good. Lemieux's dead, done for. Apparently that weird sketch he gave me is worth a lot of money, and Charles is a world-famous artist. Whew. Oh. My lord, what a goddamn mess. Everything. The bake job we planned so hard was a goddamn setup. Hosea got himself killed. Lenny got shot in the head. Marston got himself arrested and is awaiting trial. We fled, left on a ship, sailed into the storm. The ship sank. Whole thing is a dream, like a fool's nightmare. I survived that and being lost at sea. And get washed ashore on an island called Guarma. Whatever Tahiti is like, I hope it ain't nothing like Guarma. Some nasty bastard name of Fusar had the people by the throat, and we ended up in a fight with a goddamn army. Javier nearly died. I nearly got killed. Met some decent folk, brave folk living in a land of hell. We got a boat out of there, just about, after some real nasty fighting. Don't think I met any folk deserved killing more than that piece of shit Fusar. Upon returning, found the folk again, at least them as ain't dead. But within a few hours, the Pinkertons had found all of us. Agent Milton wants us all dead, and yet somehow we survived and are now planning another escape. Not sure what happens next. Whole thing has been a hard on us, on all of us. Most of all on Dutch, who seems half crazy by all we've gone through. Turns out I'm not very well. Got tuberculosis. Doctor did not know how long I would last. All them bullets shot at me, all them horses threw at me. All them horses threw me. All them fights, and it was beating up that pathetic little fella Downs. That killed me, I reckon. He's the only man I'd been near that was real sick. He begged for mercy, and I beat the bastard, and he died. And now I'm dying, too. The way of the world. My mind is racing, of course. That monk, that nun, Downs' widow, Abigail, Mary. Dutch. When I first knew him. Hosea. My dead pa. The no-good bastard. The whole crowd of people. And what kind of man have I been? What kind of man am I? What world is this we live in? A land of fury or a place of love? Am I being prepared for eternal damnation? Am I past any kind of saving? Is that all fairy tales? Man, I ain't got much good in him. Man ain't got much good in him. I ain't got no good in me. I don't think. And yet I see goodness. I see it. If not in me and good folk, and Abigail and her love for Jack, and that silly monk, and Downs, I guess, begging not for himself, but for the poor, even though he was near starving himself. Maybe I don't want salvation. Part of me has always longed for death. Well, here it comes, I suppose. Chapter 6, Beaver Hollow. Molly ratted us out. Dutch broke her heart, so she told the law about us. Explains how they found us so easily, I guess. Love does strange things to us all. Even stranger than hate. She turned up, drunk and mouthy, and told us all this. She was so pathetic I wanted to spare her, but Miss Grimshaw put a bullet in her anyway. Guess it was right. Guess there weren't much of a choice. This was in our new camp, high in some nasty country. Badlands, or as bad as we can find in this far east. This place we are holed up used to belong to a bunch of murderers. The murderers, or some nonsense like that they call themselves. The Murfrees. We shot some of them. There's more lurking in the woods around this place. Don't think we have long before the law or the Pinkertons fight us again. I just hope we can get ahead of them for a while, or ahead of ourselves. Sadie Adler and I rescued Marston from prison, where he was awaiting hanging. Spied on them in a balloon, an event which was amazing and awful, and I thought would kill me quicker than this illness. Later, Sadie and I rescued him, while getting shot at. I did it for Abigail, of course, in her own way the finest woman I know, but also for Jack, I guess. Marston himself. I kind of like him. We've argued over the years, but I've grown to care a little for him. He's less of a fool than he was, and maybe he can have the luck that has eluded me. Jack is an innocent little boy. In him I see what I missed. We did it, Mrs. Adler and me, and then got attacked by Dutch. I went behind his back, sure, and he never likes that. But I suppose the years of blind loyalty is at an end. Loyal, yes, but not blind. Not until he opens his eyes as to the hell we are in and who his friends really are. Micah, I no longer trust whatsoever, nor do I trust half of them, nor myself. Whole thing is a mess, and I cannot think clearly. Dutch, in his infinite wisdom, decided to shoot Leviticus Cornwall. Now, I'm not saying Cornwall did not need shooting, but I don't think it was quite our place to act as his judge and executioner. Micah and Dutch seem to be planning something. Seems like what they both want, most of all, is all of us dead. Saw Eagle Flies, the chief's son, again. Dutch was captivated by him, turning on all his charm and confidence and seeming like a dangerous snake. What is wrong with him? Eagle Flies is desperate and angry. The local regime are tormenting him and goading him into a fight. Now Dutch is in his ear. This will be a disaster. Poor old Karen has taken to the drink something awful. Met a one-legged man, war veteran, interesting fella. Said to come by his cabin on the other side of the Oak Craig's Run. Maybe I will. Gotta go revisit him later on. As John blew up a bridge with Marston, either to stop the army with killing us quite so easily when we attempt to rob this last train, or because we want to encourage Uncle Sam to send another train full of payroll for us to rob. Whole thing seems even more ludicrous and mouth-eaten than when I write it down. Dutch is now acting crazy and I'm acting crazy back. I'm facing death and acting foolish. I hope Marston uses his brain. The time for heroics and loyalty to people is over. The time is for acting right and saving the innocent, not the guilty. Went to speak to the chief about the situation. I helped him recover some precious things from the army. He gave me some medicine, which helped me a little. He's a man who, not so long ago, I would have found weak and pathetic, and now I see as wise and thoughtful and sensible. I would love to help him, or at least stop Dutch from pushing his son to do something real stupid. Saw Captain Monroe again, a good man in a difficult situation. This dump must seem a long way from West Point in Washington. He cares about the Indians, but he ain't too friendly with the local regiment. Helped him distribute some vaccines others were not so keen to offer about. Went back and someone or something had killed the professor. His mechanical creature had been stolen. Saw that Downs kid being beaten up, so helped him. Maybe I should have killed this poor father. Maybe I shouldn't have killed his poor father if I cared so goddamn much. What a conflicted fool I've become, or have always been. Then I tried to rescue his mother, who was in the process of getting herself murdered. Maybe she wanted that. I don't know. She looked at me like I am what I am, a killer seeking out salvation. Only I'm not. I don't want saving. I don't deserve it. I just want to help a few folk. And sure as shit I owe her. Felt like a fraud, and I am a fool, but at least I did something. For some insane reason, I went out gathering debts for Strauss. Whole business revolted me. Bunch of sad, desperate bastards, and me their worst nightmare. I'd had enough of the whole business, so I ran Strauss out of camp. Whole business of loaning revolted me. Turns out it's going to kill me too. So I guess that's about right. Probably did Strauss a favor running him out of camp, but either way I could not bear to see his beady little eyes no more. Said that poor soldier and his squaw wife will be with me when I die. Things went from bad to worse with the army. I was not wrong. The local regiment's colonel despised Captain Monroe and planned to destroy him. Charles and I rescued Monroe and probably ruined his life in the process. I hope he can find peace someplace. After putting him on the train, I bumped into that nun, Sister Calderon, bound for Mexico. She gave me a few home truths about existing in this world and perhaps the next. Maybe I have got something to hope for. Anyway, it all sounded very pretty, and I took away all the dread I had been feeling. Got a letter from Mary. What did I expect? What did I want? Weren't never meant to be and never really was, and yet somehow in the end I discovered I had a heart because it was broken. Oh, you fool. You sad, deluded fool. Torn in two by different ideas of who you were, and it turns out you weren't neither of them. Went with Charles to save Eagle Flies. They was going to hang him, I think. Rescued him out from Fort Wallace in a storm. I don't feel so good. I see clearly and I see nothing at all. Whole place has gone to hell. Dutch talking nonsense and folk undecided as to if they see him as they're the only hope or an anchor dragging us all to the bottom of the ocean. I hope John has more brains in his head than sometimes I fear he does. I should have, well, it's a bit late for regrets. There's a whole lot I should have done, and even more I shouldn't have done. But I suppose every man has enough regrets as to let him die happy. Just hope I did some good once I learned to see the world for what it was. Ain't my fault the process took quite as long as it did. Oh, Mary, be happy. Please be happy. Tilly, Mary Beth, save Karen, if she ain't too far gone. John, protect Abigail and Jack. Rains fall. Save your son as you could not save your people. Dutch, start listening to them as really loved you. So we saw Colm Driscoll sewing. Indeed, swing. Indeed, we did the law's job for them as his boys were lined up to spring them. But we dealt with him. Dutch back to being himself, at least for a moment. Sadie like a dog with a bone, although she ain't done with them yet, I don't imagine. I wonder if this will calm Dutch down and we can get back to surviving ourselves rather than just killing them we despise. I didn't feel too much. Basher went to kill me, but he didn't want to that much. And I guess I felt about the same. He weren't ever exactly my fight, really. And now my fight is real different, with a different enemy, one I cannot see nor put a bullet into. Him and his boys was our fault, alright? But did we ever exist, or were we just a group of individuals, each just falling for Dutch's dumb bluster? I feel like I don't know nothing anymore. That whole life of certainty's over. My whole code I lived and killed by, was it true? Or was there a bigger truth I was too dumb to ever see? Went to see that fella Hamish Sinclair. He's quite a sportsman and outdoorsman. Went fishing for a pike. Got him in the end. Wants to take me hunting. Hamish, not the pike. And that is the end of the Arthur side of the journal. Because after this moment, after he visits Hamish, he goes and he does the final mission, the nail in the coffin, the raid of the oil refinery, the oil and tar, um, and then you know he passes out from Eagle Flies dies and he passes out from you know tuberculosis, and Charles stays behind to help the Indians of the Wapiti Reservation crew, that tribe, and then so no one's there to help Arthur, and then the German family that he helped um, when he was with Charles to claim a new campsite. That German family actually saved him, picked him up, helped him out. He left that house and then somehow made it all the way down to uh, Ansburg, and then after that moment, he races back to camp, and the Red Dead Redemption mission is the final mission, the train robbery. So, in the rest is history. So, yeah, I will read John's section after I'm finished with John in this game, of course, because Red Dead Redemption 1 continues John's story. So, look forward to that if you must. So, if you guys enjoyed it, please press like, and yeah, it was long. I don't know how long it took me to read that, but yeah, it's probably pretty long. It took, I think, kind of looked like 4 in-game days, possibly. So that's quite that's quite a long time to read with no sleep, no food, nothing. So, anyways, I will see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye.